There was a time when I stood in rooms thick with incense and whispers, where people believed that unseen forces moved through their homes and shaped their destiny. I was once called a witch, a keeper of secrets about energy, spirits, and the hidden laws that govern prosperity and lack. Today, I stand before you free from that darkness, but not silent. I am here to expose a practice so ordinary that most people dismiss it, yet so powerful that it quietly shapes the atmosphere of a home. Leaving unwashed dishes overnight is not just about laziness or bad habits. It is an open invitation to what many traditions call poverty spirits. Tonight, I will reveal why this simple act can influence your peace, your mindset, and even your financial direction. Let me begin by telling you something most people never consider. The sink is not just a sink. It is a symbol. When plates are stacked, when food is crusted and left to harden, when water sits still and cloudy, it reflects something deeper than a busy schedule. It reflects postponement. It reflects a decision to delay completion. And in the language of energy and intention, delay becomes stagnation. When I once walked in darker spiritual circles, we were taught that stagnation is an opening. Not because spirits hover over your sink waiting for scraps, but because neglect creates patterns. Patterns shape atmosphere. Atmosphere shapes behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. A home that regularly sleeps in disorder slowly conditions the mind to accept incompletion as normal. What you tolerate repeatedly becomes what you live with permanently. Think about the message you send to yourself when you walk past dirty dishes and say, "I will do it later." Later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes a habit. A habit becomes identity. Identity determines how you approach money, opportunity, and responsibility. If you cannot close the smallest task before rest, you train your spirit to live with open cycles. Open cycles drain energy that could be used to build, create, and prosper. Prosperity flows where there is movement and intention. Water that flows stays fresh. Water that stands begins to decay. In the same way, energy in a home must circulate. When dishes remain overnight, they represent something unfinished sitting in stillness. That stillness subtly weighs on the mind. You wake up already behind. You wake up facing yesterday's neglect. And that emotional tone can follow you into your decisions about work, discipline, and finances. Order is not about perfection. It is about respect. When you wash the plate you just used, you send a message to your mind that you finish what you start. You create closure, you create space, you teach yourself that your environment matters. A clear sink in the morning feels different. It speaks of readiness. It whispers possibility. It tells you that today begins clean, not cluttered with what was ignored. So do not underestimate the power of small acts. The sink can become a place of transformation. Each night you choose completion over postponement, you break a pattern of stagnation. You shift from neglect to intention, and intention is the soil where prosperity grows. Close your day with order, and you open your life to flow. Now let us go deeper into what happens when residue is left to sit in the dark. Food that once nourished you begins to break down. What was fresh becomes sour. What was useful becomes waste. In every tradition I once studied, decay symbolized decline, not because of superstition, but because decay reflects a loss of care. When you allow that process to unfold night after night, You quietly normalize deterioration in your environment. Energy responds to what is maintained and what is ignored. When scraps and stains remain until morning, they create a subtle heaviness in the space. You may not see spirits gathering around your sink, but you will feel the weight when you wake. The air feels stale. The sight feels discouraging. And that first emotional response of the day matters more than you think. It sets the tone for your productivity and your belief in what is possible. I learned long ago that environments speak to the subconscious mind. A cluttered sink whispers that there is no urgency. It suggests that comfort is more important than discipline. It reinforces the idea that small standards do not matter. Over time, this quiet suggestion shapes financial behavior. If small decay is tolerated at home, small financial leaks are tolerated in life. Imagine waking up to a clean kitchen instead. The counters are clear, the sink is empty, there is no odor, no reminder of yesterday's leftovers. That visual clarity produces mental clarity. Mental clarity produces decisive action, and decisive action produces growth. Prosperity is not mystical. It is cultivated through consistent choices that protect your space from decline. When residue sits overnight, it does more than smell. It trains you to delay restoration. It teaches you to accept mess until it becomes overwhelming. And when things become overwhelming, many people freeze. They avoid. They procrastinate. That same pattern can appear in bills unpaid, opportunities ignored, and dreams postponed because the mess feels too large to face. So break the cycle before it grows roots. Refuse to let decay become familiar in your home. Choose restoration before rest. Choose freshness before sleep. Each time you wash away residue, you declare that decline has no authority in your space. Clean your sink, clear your mind, and create room for abundance to enter. Never underestimate the power of a small repeated action. What seems insignificant tonight is quietly shaping who you are becoming tomorrow. When you leave dishes in the sink and tell yourself it does not matter, you are practicing delay. When you choose to wash them before bed, you are practicing completion. These small practices build internal patterns, and internal patterns eventually shape financial outcomes. Success is rarely the result of one dramatic decision. It is the result of disciplined habits performed when no one is watching. Washing a plate after you eat may not feel powerful. It may not look spiritual, yet it trains your mind to close cycles before you rest. A person who closes small cycles consistently is more prepared to close large financial cycles with wisdom and clarity. Your home is the training ground for your identity. The way you manage your kitchen often mirrors the way you manage your money. If dishes pile up easily, expenses can pile up just as easily. If you delay cleaning today, you may delay budgeting tomorrow. The pattern is subtle, but it is real. Discipline in one area strengthens discipline in another. Each night offers a defining moment. You can say, "I am tired," and walk away. Or you can say, "I finish what I start." That statement, repeated daily, becomes a belief about yourself. When you believe you are someone who finishes, you approach goals differently. You approach savings differently. You approach opportunities with confidence instead of hesitation. There is dignity in order. There is strength in consistency. When you wake up to a clean sink, you wake up to evidence of your discipline. That evidence fuels self-respect. Self-respect fuels better decisions. Better decisions compound over time, and compounding decisions are what build stability and prosperity. So honor the small acts that no one applauds. Let the simple act of washing your dishes become a declaration of who you are. Choose completion over delay. Choose discipline over comfort. Let your habits reflect the future you desire. Master the small, and prosperity will no longer feel distant. I stand before you not to create fear, but to awaken awareness. What you allow in your home shapes what you allow in your life. The sink is never just about dishes. It is about discipline, energy, identity, and the standards you accept when no one is watching. When you close each day with order, you declare that stagnation has no place in your space and decay has no permission in your destiny. Prosperity is not only about money, it is about flow, clarity, and self-respect. It begins in small unseen moments of responsibility. Wash the plate, clear the sink, finish the task, and let every completed action remind you that you are building a life where abundance feels natural and poverty finds no room to stay.